And good morning, everybody. Before we'll start, I want to share a disclaimer. We are recording this presentation and we will post this presentation on Center for Positivity Wellbeing Hope. I welcome you all today to coming and joining this presentation. The topic of this present week talk is self-efficacy, believing in yourself matters, and truly believing in yourself matter. And I welcome Dr. Hornsby and Dr. Norman who are graciously said yes to present this and enlighten us for this presentation and this topic. And one more thing before we'll start, dear student, if you are here and you want your teacher will give you credit, or your teacher told you that she will give you credit, make sure to write your name, your course number, and your teacher name. So please write your section number. Thank you so much. And I welcome Dr. Hornsby to start this presentation. Thank you, Dr. Norman and Dr. Hornsby. Floor is yours.
You are so welcome. We're excited to be here.
Yes, we are excited.
My name is Dr. Hornsby. I will just tell you a little bit about myself. I am the interim coordinator here for the Adult Learning and Development Programs at Northwestern. So if a little plug, if you're interested in a master's or a doctorate in adult learning and education, come see me. Dr. Norman and I would be happy to talk to you. So we are just excited to be at the School of Education, and we're excited to be here to talk to you. A few of my research, I guess you could say passions would be adult development, educational leadership, teacher certification, even as far as early childhood and efficacy. So I have actually taught early childhood students all the way up to adult learners. And I have loved every step of every way. So I am truly honored to be here to be able to speak with you. Dr. Norman.
And Dr. Hornsby, I'm going to toot her horn a little bit and go back. She has been recently named as the Outstanding Young Professional for the School of Education. So we're very, very proud of her for that. So hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Laura Norman. I am also here in adult learning and development programs. I teach a couple of the master's level courses and many of the doctoral level courses. I, just like Dr. Hornsby, am very interested in researching educational leadership, adult learning and development, and of course, why we're even here today. Self-efficacy in all ways, school culture, teacher retention, student retention, all of those things are some of my top interests. So we are so thankful that all of you have joined us today. I know it's bright and early, so hopefully you have your coffee and you're ready to rock and roll.
I actually did not get my coffee, but I will do that later. So let me just tell you first, what is self-efficacy? I'll just say self-efficacy is the driving force of your time management, your goal setting, your relationship building, and so much more. Today in this presentation, you will get to evaluate your sense of self-efficacy, explore a little bit about self-efficacy, and learn how you can improve your self-efficacy to build your belief in yourself and improve some of your various life skills. I just wanted to read that slide just as we wrote it because I really wanted it to sink in before we start expounding. We're going to talk about greater detail about the sources of efficacy and how it pertains to you as a student, because everyone from children, grade school children, grad students, higher education students, adults, we all need a sense of self-efficacy. So examples of that: time management, goal setting. Those are two very important points.
Big topics.
Exactly. That is not just for students, but for adults as well. So like I said, we're very excited to be here to give you a little insight.
So before we begin expounding on what self-efficacy actually is, before we go into how it pertains to you as a student, we want to provide you just a couple of minutes quickly for each of you, from professors to if this is your first year in college, there are 10 basic, simple questions that you will find on the slide in front of you. And this is just basic questions that anyone can answer. It's a yes or no question. And we want for you to go down for each one. And I mean, you can write it down or you can just answer it in your mind. But we just want you to have the opportunity, before we even go into self-efficacy, just a few minutes for you to read each one and answer yes or no. It's not bad if you answer yes. It's not bad if you answer no. And just kind of remembering in your mind for later, did you answer more yes or did you answer more no? And we'll kind of talk about it more. So, for example, do you feel like you can handle problems if you are willing to work hard, or if you're willing to push through whatever problem you're facing? Yes or no? And so we're going to give you a few,
2 or 3 minutes.
yeah, just have time to read them and answer to yourself. You don't have to put it in the chat box. This is strictly for you and your personal thoughts. So we'll give you a couple minutes to go through this slide before we move forward. We'll give you a few more seconds.
Yeah. Okay, I had time to read through them, so I am assuming that you each had time to do so as well. So we'll just go ahead and move forward. So what exactly is self-efficacy? You notice that we start with a quote from, it says Bandura. Well, let me tell you a little bit about Bandura. I
He's
really,
our best friend.
yes, he's our best friend. We love to read and research about him. His name is actually Albert Bandura, and he is the seminal author of self-efficacy. What this means is that he founded the theory of efficacy in different facets. So, for example, there is teacher self-efficacy, there's collective self-efficacy, student self-efficacy. Which we will talk about. But he actually just passed away this year in July, and he was 95 years old. He was a professor from Stanford, and he really had some just fabulous thoughts and really made you think. And he was wonderful. So basically, self-efficacy, it is your perceived self-efficacy refers to beliefs in your capabilities to organize and execute the courses of action required to manage prospective situations. Efficacy believes influence on how people think, how they feel, how they motivate, and how they act. So basically, it is the belief in yourself to do all the things that you do.
And we do mean all the things.
All the things. I did want though to read his definition,
Yeah.
because this is his theory. But really, self-efficacy, it is your belief in yourself to do all the things, whether it is dating, whether it is schoolwork, whether it is running a marathon, in all the things. And like I said, we will get into that in just a moment.
So, as Dr. Hornsby said, self-efficacy, it's all about Albert Bandura. So all of these 4 sources that we're going to discuss in depth today, he did come up with these 4 sources of efficacy, and you should see them on your screen. So mastery experiences, vicarious experiences, verbal persuasion, and psychological factors. So the way Bandura set this up is there is a method to how he set them up. So he believed and founded that mastery experiences were generally the most effective. And so that's why it's first. And then all of the other ones are going to really intertwine with one another and connect in a very deep and meaningful way. So mastery experiences that he felt was number 1 in building the foundation to your self-efficacy, whether you are a teacher, a student, a staff member, wherever you are in your life. He wanted to meet you because we all have experiences. So that leads us into mastery experiences. And that is the very first one, like I said, the foundation of building your efficacy. So with this, mastery experiences is basically when people begin to believe, or when students begin to believe that they have what it takes to succeed at a task. Okay, or it can be an activity, whether that's passing a test, or like Dr. Hornsby said, running a marathon. It can be in any facet of your life, but it's the ability that you begin to believe that, you know what, that assignment may be hard, but I believe I can do it. And that may sound elementary, but it is very important for you to have the efficacy and the foundation in order to have the tools to be successful. So you see on the slide, failure versus success. And of course, if you are successful in a task, naturally you're going to have a higher efficacy level. Whereas when you experience a failure, you automatically, your emotions begin to play a part and your efficacy lowers. Now, me and Dr. Hornsby want you all to know that failure does not mean that you are a failure. We are built to learn from our failures. So what that means is, if you, and I automatically think, because it's on everybody's mind, whether you're a professor or a student, COVID-19 pandemic, March 2020, we went fully online. Well, you were faced with adversity. You were faced with a challenge because most of you had some type of face-to-face interaction, whether that was or work. So with that, just to use an example for our students, if you had your very first test after full online learning, when you were used to face, and let's say you took an exam and you did not do well on it. So that was a failure experience. However, our efficacy teaches that we don't just stay there, well, I just can't do it. We learn from our failure and we say, okay, I know that this is a challenge. So what steps can I take, or what tools can I use to do something differently? So instead of failing, I will succeed and build my efficacy. So that is just a very tangible way of putting failure to success. Now, another way for mastery experiences is time management. All right. Now I need everybody to listen to time management. I know that the professors probably tell you you need to study a little bit every night. Well, guess what? They're right. So with time management, it is important, and we just wanted to provide you all some very easy, basic tips of time management, and we'll kind of talk a little bit more later as well. But my number 1 tip is to block out distractions. And that doesn't mean you can't go out with your friends. That doesn't mean you can't go out to eat. What that means is you set aside 30 minutes, an hour, however long you are able to concentrate to get the task done, whether you have a discussion forum, maybe you have a paper, maybe you need to study and review your notes, whatever it is, you need to block out distractions. So as tempting as it is to get on TikTok for 3 hours, just don't do it. Okay. So there are many, many just very tangible resources for you. Everybody has a lovely phone. So you can actually, there are apps on your phone. One of my favorites is Forest, and you can put however long you're wanting to focus for. So if that's 30 minutes, you can grow a tree in 30 minutes. But if you get out of your app to scroll on Instagram for 25 minutes, then you start killing your tree because you're wasting your time. So that is just a very easy tool for you to use. There's also in your settings, you know what? I waste a lot of time on social media, so I'm just going to max myself at an hour and a half on Facebook every day, or whatever it may be. So that is just a very easy tip, or it sounds easy, but it's actually very hard. Yeah, it's hard to block out distractions. But one thing I have learned, if your friend texts you and you don't answer within 2.5 seconds, nothing bad happens. Yeah. So
I do want to say before we move on, and we are about to move on, but I want you to really think about what Dr. Norman said. I loved what she said. Think of failure as a learning opportunity.
Yes.
Don't think failure that you're failing. Think of it as a learning opportunity. I know we're going to move on, but that's so important.
That is so important. And I honestly think in order for us to truly be proud of our successes, it usually comes from rising from some type of failure, whatever that may look like for you. The second source under mastery experiences is vicarious experiences. So you will see 3 bullet points there, and so we'll kind of talk about them. But this source is basically the observation of people around you, especially those that you're with very often. So your social circles. And it's also with those that you may look up to. So with that, Bandura says that people look to those around them that have experienced success in activities that motivate and progress into the belief that because my friend did it, I can do it too. Okay, so that's kind of what vicarious experience is. If you've ever heard the phrase, I am vicariously living through you, this is where it comes from. Okay, so what we can do this, and me and Dr. Hornsby, where we love to collaborate with other people. But what vicarious experiences is you find those people that either you look up to or that you are with most often, and basically you may set a goal. So for example, let's say we might have some athletes in this chat today. I don't know, but let's say we do. If you are, let's say you play football and you're a freshman and you have the same build, the same talent, the same abilities as a senior football player, and that senior football player goes out on the field because he's on the starting lineup and he does an amazing play. But you look at him not only as a role model, but you say, because he was able to do it and we work together every day, I believe that I have the ability to be able to do that task as well. So that is a very basic understanding of what vicarious experiences are. And a big tip for that is to always find the people that motivate you, that believe in you, and that you find that together you can set goals and maybe together achieve them. But always finding either 1 or 2 or 3 core people is what I like to call them, and really work to build goals, but not only build to goals and working towards goals, but attaining them as well. And so because your friend is able to get up and do a presentation, you feel that you can too. So it's building that sense of efficacy by watching other people. And like, she was that young, outstanding educator. And so now I want to be a young, outstanding educator. So that is what it is. Finding honestly the best in others and striving and motivating yourself to do those things too, and to be successful in those experiences.
Yes, very good. Very good. Okay, so we're going to move on to
Number 3.
no, yes. So verbal persuasion, it can be also known as emotional arousal, psychological responses. Those are different ways that you may see it in literature. But our own responses and our own emotional reactions play a very important role in self-efficacy. Our mood, our emotional state, our stress level, can all impact how we as a person feel um, about a particular activity in any given situation. Yeah. So, oh, I did skip one, didn't I?
That's
Yeah,
all right.
but that's okay. Yeah. So
they all go together.
that's right. There you go. Okay. So, stress levels. So that is, we really want to, stress level is so important because it is in every facet of our life. I mean, people can get stressed going to the grocery store.
I get stressed going to the grocery store.
People can get stressed, obviously, doing coursework during their relationships. And that is friendship relationships, that is romantic relationship. I mean, stress levels just occur. So basically, whenever you think of the psychological factors or your emotional arousal, I wanted to say it very basic. So this is the very basic so we all can understand. When your mood goes up, your efficacy goes up. When your mood goes down or you feel down, your efficacy goes down. That is a very basic way to understand the psychological factor.
Absolutely.
And how it affects you. Nutrition, that is self-care. There are so many techniques that you can do to improve self-care. Of course, nutrition, eating right, exercising, all of those create endorphins, which make you feel better. Your mood goes up. Well, what happens when your mood goes up? Your self-efficacy goes up. So there again, so taking care of your whole self really does improve your efficacy. So taking those, even if it's a 10-minute stroll, if you're in the middle of writing a lit review or a paper, your English 101 or a speech. Okay, everyone gets nervous when they have to get up and give a speech, and you're trying to prepare your speech. It's okay. Get up 5 minutes, walk around your room, walk around your dorm. If you have to go out, if you could, to go outside, get some sunshine, walk
Fresh
around.
air.
Yes. Don't go down the rabbit hole of TikTok or, Snapchat. When you do that, you do get caught up and it's very easy, but nature outside really can refresh you. So there again, whenever you feel refreshed, you can get back and finish your paper, and then you're going to feel good about yourself for finishing your project. There again, very simply, your mood elevates, and so does your efficacy. So I did skip one. So let's go back to verbal persuasion. I'm so sorry. So verbal or social persuasion, you can also see it written that way as well. It's about having others directly influence your self-efficacy by providing encouragement. So
I love good encouragement.
I do too. And let me tell you, it's not just surrounding yourself by any other people. You want to surround yourself by people that you trust, by people that you look up to. You don't want I guess you can say, the negativity on you. You want people basically that you trust. Because if you trust these people, they are going to be loved ones. They're going to be close friends. They're going to be someone that you look up to.
And they're going to be somebody who wants to see you master or succeed at your experience.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And that is with all relationships. So the way to do that, to surround yourself with these people that you need encouragement from, is to begin building relationships.
So important.
So important. Relationships are the base of everything. You need to build these relationships, and that's relationships with friends, relationships with your professors, relationships.
Yeah.
That you just need to build. So verbal encouragement from others. Whenever you do, when Dr. Norman gives me encouragement, if I'm having trouble, and I'm really trying to figure out a solution, and she's like, "Oh, Dr. Murphy, you are getting this. Yeah, I think you have this." That encourages me to go ahead, and it kind of helps me overcome my self-doubt. Like when I'm doubting myself, she's like, "No, you're right on, you're on target. You're on a good path." Well, that does help me. And that is, Dr. Norman is someone I trust. So I do believe what she's saying. So that gives me, it elevates my mood. So it elevates my self-efficacy. I know we just talked about that, but faculty staff relationships. So we're not talking just about student relationships. We're talking about student faculty. We're talking about student student. We're talking about faculty to faculty, faculty to staff, faculty to administration, building bases.
The building blocks.
Yes, we can say the building blocks is to build relationships.
And I would like, especially for our students on this call, being we are on verbal persuasion, if someone makes a direct impact on your life, and it could be like they're your best friend, it can be your best friend, it can be a mentor, an advisor, whoever. I always encourage students, tell that person, because they may need to hear it, one, but two, you want people that have had a positive impact on your life as a student to know that they made a positive impact. But that is another way of building the faculty student relationship, is to just be transparent and open and honest to building that trust.
Yes, and that is actually a tip that I was going to give is try. I know this is hard. I honestly, I know, especially if you're an introvert, if you're not someone like me who can talk to a wall and have a conversation. Just with, if you will sit still long enough, I'm going to talk to you. And that's just my personality. But I understand my sister is not that way. So it's harder for her. But a tip from us would be to please just try and be open to building a new relationship, because you never know, that new relationship that you're trying to build could potentially be one of the greatest relationships that you have ever known. And it's very hard to step out of your box and do that. But if you can just set a goal for yourself, okay, this week, I'm going to say hi or introduce myself to one person that I normally would not talk to, but they're in my psych class or they're in my math class, and they seem cool. They seem, they always have great things to say. This is the week I'm going to do it. So you just go up and introduce yourself, and you never know. You never know. This could be the beginning of a beautiful relationship. You just never know. So always try, set a goal, a small one, like that, and you never know. You just may have found a lifetime relationship.
Yes.
Okay, so we did that one. So here we go. So we are on to how to improve your self-efficacy. What do you have to say, Dr. Norman?
Well, so how to improve your self-efficacy. So this is where we do want you to kind of stop and think back to the evaluation. Okay. So the evaluation, if you listed more yes, then your self-efficacy is already on the higher end scale. If you answered more no, then it's a little lower on the scale. It doesn't mean you don't have self-efficacy. It just means that there's room for improvement. Even if you had one no, guess what? We can improve it.
Mhm.
So we have together put our brains together and wanted to provide you some very basic, what may sound simple tips of how to improve your self-efficacy, but it's all things that you as a student, and hey, even us as faculty and staff, we all need to build efficacy, because it's proven that the higher your efficacy is, the more likely you are to succeed as a student or in your jobs. So with that,
Right. I will tell you, she giggled at me. Number one, a planner. Okay, buy a planner. Okay, I know I am probably old school to my students on here. I have to have, and I will just look, I will show you. It's here. This is my planner. And when I say a planner, I write it all down.
look at that.
So I am not one that can use the online planning tools. That's just not me. I need to touch it. I need to see it. I need to write it. But there are many, many online planning tools that you can use. But I'm just going to say, I honestly don't care which tool you use.
Just use it.
Use it. Just use it. A planner is something that you can use from a student in high school to a doctoral student in college. A planner is so important, and that helps you with your time management, which brings me to your syllabus. Okay, so here we go. You know what? Our first tip.
Read it.
Read it. Read your syllabus. Read your syllabus. Your teachers, I mean, your professors create the syllabus not just because they like to write. They are creating these syllabus because there are items in there that you can write in your planner, and it can keep you on task, and it can keep you together. And then you're like, oh, I have a discussion forum due on Friday. Ooh, but I have a football game on Friday. So what does that tell you? Maybe do it your Thursday. Do it on Thursday. But look at your planner. Don't just get the syllabus. Stick it in the back of your 3-ring binder and then go to class.
Look at it again.
Yeah, never. They really, honestly, guys, instructors, professors, we write those for a reason, and we really want them to be helpful, but they're only helpful if you read them and then write down the due dates on them. So that just moves us into short-term goals. So a short-term goal is also something that you can write in your planner. So a short-term goal, you can look at it, and short-term you can look weekly. Okay, weekly, what on Monday or Sunday evening, what do I have due this week? And you can look at your weekly planner to see what you have this week. It's so important. When you see it, when I write it, it sticks in my mind more. I know the younger students can type it in, and it can stick with them, and it can give them a ding on their phone and all of this good stuff. But as Daniel Gordy knows, I'm not very technology, savvy. That's why I have Dr. Norman. So long-term goals. Yeah, long-term goals. Okay, let's just say that's a month. Okay, let's just say it's a month. And November is going to be a busy month because you're like, ooh, that's Thanksgiving. That is, midterm. That's many things are happening in November. Well, you need to go ahead and write your whole month out. And then that way, ooh, my family and I are going to be gone, but I know this huge paper is due like the Monday we get back from Thanksgiving break. I better get on it early. I mean, this will all help you with your time management. Now, I want to talk to you about backwards planning. I know that sounds crazy. And you think backwards planning, what is that? What is that? It sounds, so it sounds big, but it's really not. And I'm going to give you an example. So it's basically you have to ask yourself this one question. What is it that I want to accomplish.
Mhm.
Okay, first you have to know that. Well, like, what do I want to accomplish? Then let me tell you how you're going to do it. So you are going to,
An example.
let's just have an example.
I want to run a half marathon.
Okay, she's real ambitious. She is really ambitious. She wants to run a half marathon. So here we go.
That is a little ambitious.
But we're gonna use it. So we're gonna use it. Okay. So if you know in August, we're starting in the fall, but my half marathon is in December. So this is how we're gonna do it. Backwards planning. So number one, know what you want to do. I want to run a half marathon in December. That is my ultimate goal. Okay.
And you write it in your plan.
And you write the date. If it's December 15th, write half marathon, December 15th, because you remember you're working backwards.
Yes.
So you're working at your end goal. So in order for you to gain that and be successful at that goal, well, flip your page backwards. Now you're in November. So if you know you want to run 13 miles in December, well, by November 15th, you better be able to run, I don't know, 9 to 10 miles. So put November 15th, run 9 to 10 miles. That's going to be your goal. Flip your page back.
Do it before Thanksgiving. That's good.
Yeah, do it before Thanksgiving. You're going to be really full by then. Yeah. So now we're going to back up to October. Well, if you're wanting your ultimate goal is 13, remember in December, November, it was 9.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say 6 in October. October 15th, we're going to run 6 to 7 miles. September, flip your page back. Okay, I'm going to run a 5K.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good goal for me to have in mind. Well, in August, that's when you decided you wanted to run this half marathon. So in August, start basic. Do a couch to 5K. That's where you do like an interval.
Yeah.
You know, you walk and you run a little bit and you walk a little more, you run a little bit. So that is where you begin. That is backwards planning. So you started at your end goal
and you work backwards.
And look, that's helpful when you have your handy dandy planner because you can actually see it. And you're not trying to write it in a phone, but that's me.
And when you're successful at whatever goal it is you set, your efficacy levels
goes increase because your mood elevates, your efficacy elevates. I know I've said that 3 or 4 times, but there you go. So backwards planning, and look, that is not. We gave an example of a half marathon because that's easy. But think of graduation. Say you are a senior and you're like, oh snap, it is my last semester and okay, I know I have to turn my research project in on this date. Well, honey, flip to December to that date that you have to have your paper in the final day and then move it up a week. Don't wait your final day. So move it up a week. So then start planning backwards. Say, okay, the month before that, I need to have my rough draft totally completed, half my edits done. Yeah. So we are really rocking and rolling. The month before that, have a rough outline. I mean, you just, if you plan your goals and you work backwards, you honestly can achieve anything. It's just taking the time to read your syllabus, and start putting it in your calendar. And honestly, these little things add up. They really do. And here are some more examples. Dr. Norman, let's talk about ways to improve your self-efficacy.
So here is some just very basic tips. So first you see, and I just copied and pasted a little chart, but many different outlets have a chart that looks very similar to the one you see on your screen. It has every day and every hour accounted for the day. Now this, you can just print it out. You can Google it, you know, like time management chart, and you'll find a host of all different ones. Some are broken down by 30-minute intervals, all that good stuff. But this is going to be a very humbling activity, but I encourage everyone to do it, from professors all the way to students. I encourage you all to do it because I don't know how many times I remember when I was in undergrad, for sure, like, well, I don't have time to go to the gym. or I don't have time to go to do all of this today, you know.
Mhm.
But when you write down your week schedule, well, from 8 to 12, I'm in class. From 12 to 1, I go to lunch. From 1 to 5, I go to work. And then your next, I'll go to the gym at 7. Well, what are you doing for those, you know, other hours? What about after the gym? What about before your 8 a.m.? Those types of things, you'll really see the gaps in your schedule. And so you'll see the time that you actually have that you feel like you don't have. And you'll also feel and realize that you waste a lot of time too.
And I would like to just interject, when you're doing that,
Mhm.
that is an absolutely wonderful idea. But I encourage every single individual that's listening, and watching. There again, freshman student to
Mhm.
professor, I encourage you very strongly, schedule time for self-care.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Schedule it in there, because if you do not schedule it,
Then you won't do
you
it.
won't do it.
Yeah.
And when I tell you, and I will be honest, Dr. Norman has had to get on to me, because she's like, you need to print out a chart, because I'm like, she will call, it could be 11 o'clock at night, and what am I doing? Emails, or I just, you have to schedule, and I have to do this.
And-
You have to schedule self-care.
And that's a great point,
Mhm.
because you know yourself the best.
Mhm.
So if you are most, I like to call it my Einstein hour.
Mhm.
And that's when you feel the most on. Like if you have an assignment, I know that I better work on it from 9 to 10
Mhm.
because I'm better in the mornings. Then schedule it. If you need to work on a discussion forum on Wednesday at 9, because that's the only time you have available, then guess what? You better be doing Wednesday at 9.
Mhm.
You know, but like she said, write everything down. If you have to go to a family dinner, write it down. If
Mhm.
you have to cheer at a game, write it down.
Mhm.
If you have to bring your dog to the vet, write it down. And so,
Everything. Yeah,
so you can
everything.
see your gaps in your schedule. Now,
It's very eye-opening,
it is. It is.
because the first time I did that, I was like, well, no wonder I'm stressed out. Like I was, and I did it on a current week that I had already scheduled, just as a
Just to see,
practice, just
yeah.
as a practice. So I looked at my planner. I did what Dr. Nora, I printed this out. I had double booked myself. And no wonder I was, beginning to feel overwhelmed and stressed out. And there was not one spot in the entire week that I took for self-care.
Mhm.
And I am such an advocate for self-care
Mhm.
that I was like, well, that's not very
Very good.
that's very good. I mean, I'm preaching it, but I'm not walking it, and that's not a good thing. So I really do. It's gonna be eye-opening the
It
first
will.
time you do this,
Mhm.
but when
Yeah.
you do it,
Mhm.
and you do it when you keep at it, you're gonna learn.
Yeah.
You're
You're gonna learn yourself and your
Yeah.
habits. And now, the study cycle. I want you to like screenshot that. Okay. If you're a student in here, screenshot the study cycle. So I'll just briefly go over it. So what this is, it's built for improving your efficacy through study habits. So if you have a 6-page paper due tomorrow, I hope it's already written. But if you have a big course, like I'm thinking with a lot of notes,
Mhm.
a lot of information, histories, biologies,
Mhm.
this is a great cycle for you to know. So what is proven to work the most effectively is that you preview the material. So if you know you're going over chapter 3 today, then 5 minutes. You don't need 30 minutes. Just 5 minutes. Quickly just go through what's the main headings, what's the main titles. And then of course, go to class. So whether it's virtual or in person, attend the class. Take notes. If you have questions, ask them. If you're too scared to ask them in front of everyone,
Email.
Mhm. Go to office hours,
Mhm.
however you want to do that, but make sure you attend the class. Then after class, if you have time or if you have another class after that one, but on the same day, review the material. And this isn't like a sit down and study for 3 hours. Okay. This is read over the notes again. I'm going to fill in the gaps. I'm going to develop questions if I have any. And then you study it, right? You are going to schedule however much time you need for the amount of material for the subject that you need. So if it's 25 minutes, if it's 30 minutes, if it's an hour, however long you have, that is when you buckle down and study the material. Now, the check part is my favorite part because if you can teach it, then you know it. So, what that means is if I know that I have a biology test and it's on the cardiovascular system, and I want to explain how the blood flows in and out of the heart, if I can explain that to a friend, or hey, your dog, whoever will listen to you, if you can go through it all and you fully understand it and you are able to articulate the material, then guess what? Check. You know the material, and then you just start it over again for the next time.
And don't feel crazy talking to yourself. I mean, you know, if you need to get in your office, if you
To
need
whoever's going to listen to
yes, if you're in your dorm room and you're sitting on your bed and you're teaching it to the wall, that's okay. That's okay because you know what? Whenever you come to the test, you're gonna do great. You're gonna do great. I am gonna say, she made a great point. Attend class. Okay, go to class. Okay. But what I was gonna say, okay, so when you're taking notes in class, I understand sometimes the teacher may be talking. I tend to do this. Talk fast. Okay, so the teacher may be talking fast and you're like, you know, writing down notes. Well, when you go back that same day, like Dr. Norman said, and you're reviewing your notes, that's when you can fill in the gaps of missing words. You can
or reaching out to a peer. Hey, what did so and so say about this again?
Right.
So it's a great cycle. I encourage you to use it. It's not going to take you 5 hours to do it.
No.
Okay. It's a very much a lifestyle habit that happens.
So
which brings us.
Yeah. So now this is what I want you to do. I want you to think back at the beginning of the presentation.
Back to the survey.
Yeah, back to the survey. Whenever we evaluated your self-efficacy, the 10 questions, and you were thinking yes or no in your head, you may have written them down. However you answered them. There's actually going to be a survey link.
I just put it in the chat.
Oh, she did. She put it in the chat. Okay, so there you go. So go ahead and answer those and do the poll, do the survey link. It's in the chat box. And answer and just see if you noticed, if you learned anything, if you learned some new habits, you know, maybe answer the questions and just see. Maybe this did help. Maybe I did learn a few tips, a few
of how
tricks.
to improve your efficacy.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah. Sure.
And I will say just that we are closing, but I don't want you to forget, please don't forget to put your name and your course number in the chat box because I certainly want you to get credit if your teacher wanted you to sit through Dr. Norman and I, but we really thoroughly enjoyed talking about one of our favorite things. And if you ever have any questions, email either one of us, email Miss Deep, I mean, whatever. Yes. However you want to get in touch with us, we are very open and we love to talk to students. So
and we'll turn it back over, but I did put the in the chat box the closing survey. It'll take you not even a minute to do.
Right.
It's really just a reflection for you. But we appreciate all of you coming, whether you were forced or you chose to come. We're excited that you came to join, and we hope that you learned something. And best of luck with the rest of your semester.
Yes. Bye, guys.
Turn it back.
I want that you will stay here. It was a wonderful presentation, Dr. Hornsby and Dr. Norman and Isa. People are writing comment and saying that fabulous and wonderful job. Before I don't want to let you go. I want to open the floor for student and professor. If you want to ask question, please write on chat and I will read so we can answer those questions. And one question came before that she has 4 children, and it is hard to do that planning because it changes every time. So any tip for that?
Well, I only have two, so I cannot speak for four. I can say, whoo, you are busy. But beyond that, I can I actually we have a and I understand it's hard, and my two boys, they are in, I have football, I have, you know, all of the groups that they're in, practice and all of the fun things. But we actually have, I'm gonna sound crazy, but we actually have a family planner on, it stays on the bar. And I'm not sure the age of your children, but my children are old enough to write. So we and it's a habit now. It took about a year to make it a habit, but when we were missing events because we were everywhere, um everyone learned. So we honestly, it never leaves the bar. You can have, they have them even like at the Dollar Tree, the kind that are like flat like this, and you can leave it open and you can write cheer practice, football practice, you know, dance practice, or a football mom meeting, or you know, bring snacks to baseball, you know, dance class, whatever, paper due. Like I even write, if I had, like today I put, I'm leaving early, I have a presentation, I'm staying late, you know, I'm prepping for another presentation, or even, I mean, we write things like that as a family. So you'll see my husband's handwriting, you'll see my kids' handwriting, you'll see kind of everybody's handwriting, and it's just kind of a way for us to know what's happening.
And I
as a
think
group.
too, I see that you put they're 5, 7, 9, and 15. So that's a wide range.
Yeah.
I have a baby at home, and so I do not have four. But I know that there are, it's kind of what we talked about earlier, that there are challenges that come. And so sometimes you wake up and two of your kids are sick. And so, you know, there goes the productive day. And you know what? That's okay.
Okay.
And I truly think that when you use something as simple as a planner, when you backwards plan and plan ahead, when an emergency or something unexpected happens, you're able to bounce back quicker. Or maybe utilizing the time, if they fall asleep and take a nap for 10 minutes, hurry up and do your discussion for them. You know, whatever it may be, just because you write it in the planner doesn't mean it's set in stone, or that, you know, we want to stick to it as much as we can, but guess what? Pandemics happen. Sickness happens.
COVID happens.
Death happens. You know, your car has to go in the shop, right? And so, Dr. Hornby. And so there are those things. And so my tip would be to always plan ahead, so that way in emergency situations, you have the tools to be able to kind of shift what needs to be done. Because if you wait till the last minute, then you're just going to be late.
Well, and your stress level will
rise.
elevate.
Because it's already stressful.
Yes, it's already, your children are sick, so you're stressed because of that. But talk about oh my goodness, I had a paper due today and I was going to write it today. Well, if you did that backwards planning, you would have already had at least a rough draft written. So you could email the professor your rough draft and say, you know, it is 95% done. I have 2 children that are sick. I can have, you know, if please show me a little grace, and you know, maybe tomorrow, you know, I can get this in tomorrow. But you're able to show I've done 95% of my paper, you know, because you were prepared. Is you didn't have 0% of your paper done, and it was due today at midnight because you planned. So my tip to a busy mama for plan. Yeah.
As best as you can.
As best as you can. As best as you can. Yeah. And
we have one more question. It is similar that you are talking about. how do you effectively manage your time if you are a caregiver? Mhm.
Oh, if you're a caregiver. Oh, that I just Dr. Norman and I just
Yep.
wrote a little article about being a caregiver is one of the most important jobs that you can have because it is very stressful.
Mm.
And we were writing about self-care and the importance
Yeah.
for caregivers because it's so stressful and so important. And the question was how to manage
How
time?
to manage your time.
If you're a caregiver, there again, I'm just,
Yeah,
and Dr.
go-
Norman can
yeah.
say, but pre-plan. And I know that sounds, you're like, that's not realistic. But if you really think about it, if you
If you know
pre-plan,
at least your general hours.
yeah, yeah. If you pre-plan, and I'm assuming, and this is me assuming, I'm assuming you're talking about how to effectively manage your academic schedule because you're a
Because you are a
caregiver.
caregiver.
So
So-
that's the advice
where you're
I'm
going.
giving. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
where I'm going. Is so my academic tip for you would be to always pre-plan and don't put the pro and procrastinate.
Mhm.
We don't want to be pros and procrastinate.
No, we do not.
No. So we want to pre-plan. So if you know that you do have a large assignment coming up, and you are a caregiver and you never know the variables that could happen while you're a caregiver. I mean,
Yeah.
that is, you could have many things affect that. But if you have pre-planned and start that assignment, if you have your syllabus, and you did read it and you noticed, in 2 months I have a huge paper, but you also know realistically I am a caregiver to XYZ. I have to start this now. And I know it's due for 2 months. Start it now. Start an outline now. Work on one section head of your outline a week if you need to, 2 months early.
Yeah. So that way, if something
Mm.
unexpectedly,
Comes up.
were to happen, which in most cases probably happens,
Right.
you really just have to fine tune the assignment rather than sit down and write a 7-page paper
Right.
all in one day.
Everything goes back to the pre-planning.
Yeah.
I mean, it really does in life, and as much as human possible. I mean,
Yeah.
as much as you
Yeah.
can. Yeah. But we know life happens, like
Mhm.
pandemics and tornadoes and
Hurricanes.
and I mean, look, we're
The
from
internet goes out.
yeah, we're from Louisiana. We are very strong and resilient individuals
We
here.
are.
We can work through a lot of things.
Yeah.
So just remember.
That is a very good advice, like pre-plan, backward planning, and for caregiver, have a me time, self-care are very important. And Dr. Hornsby and Dr. Norman, can you put the next slide? Just
Sure.
forward it. And
Okay.
again, if many of students, if they do not want to ask question right away or they want to ask question later on, can you please write your this email address, positivity@nsula.edu. In the subject line, if you will write Dr. Hornsby and Dr. Norman name and then ask question, and I can forward that to them and we can directly talk to you about that. And next slide, please. And if by chance you haven't seen this Center for Positivity, Wellbeing and Hope, and I put the here too, and make sure to check it out, www.nsula.edu and /positivity. I am inviting many guest speakers, so we are recording, especially this is Vic Talk, mean our Demons Talk, right? So we have many professors share their expertise and we recorded it and posted on this website. And we have many tips of self-care to healthy eating that students are actually developing and giving it to me, and I am posting it. So make sure to check this website. Next slide, please. And as a host, I always want to end with some closing quote. And I always say that, yes, you can do it. Actually, yes, we can do it. And if you are a teacher, student, even mom for 4 children, have 4 children and juggling all that stuff. Yes, we can do it. Okay. Believe in yourself and then see the positive strength within. I always say this, and I am in a doctorate program. I am full-time teacher and I have 2 adult children now. But I think that when we decide, believe in yourself, believing, we actually start gaining that positive strength that we have within, and we didn't find it yet. But as soon as you start believing in yourself, you will see that positive energy in yourself. And this positive strength will make a good present and great future for you. So as Dr. Hornsby and Dr. Norman gave you very, very good advice, and it was I personally like this topic and I love Bandura works and throughout my life. So I appreciate Dr. Hornsby and Dr. Norman to putting this in perspective for everybody, that how important self-efficacy is, how important to believe in yourself is. So I thank you both for coming today and sharing your knowledge and wisdom with our student. Next slide, please.
Okay.
And again, thank you so much. Any feedback, any comment, make sure to email positivity@nsula.edu. My name is Neeru Deep, and please check out that website too. And thank you so much, Dr. Hornsby and Dr. Norman, for your wisdom.
Thank you
And
for having us.
Thank you for having us, for sure. Welcome.
Welcome.
Bye, guys. Y'all have a super day.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Again, student who didn't put their name yet, please make sure to put your name, teacher name, and your course number. I am now stopping the recording. Thank you so much.